Are you good at holding yourself accountable to the promises and the pledges and the commitments that you make to your business? Or are you like 95% of the rest of the human race and you're actually really quite poor at holding yourself accountable? There is a massive, massive difference between the commitment to promises that you make to yourself versus the commitment to promises that you make to other people. And it is just human nature. There are a very small number of people who are really good at keeping themselves accountable and following through on all of those commitments. But the simple truth of it is that 95% of people, me included, are just not very good at holding themselves accountable unless there is some external influence involved. So when you make a promise to a client, whether that is a promise to do a piece of work by a certain date or go along to a meeting, turn up to a networking event, whatever that promise is that you make to a client, you're 99.9% of the time you are going to stick to that because you've made a commitment, because you are professional, because you have integrity. You are going to stick to that promise that you make to a client because this is all about business and the client pays the bills. But when it comes to the promises that you make to yourself, the time that you are going to spend dedicating to new income streams, new products, implementing new systems, planning for growth in your business, those are the things that it is just so easy to constantly defer, delay, get distracted by, or just decide this isn't quite the right day. I haven't quite got the right energy. I don't think my mind is in the right place. I've got more time next week. I'll definitely do that next week. And we have this incredible ability within our subconscious to make excuses to ourselves. And we know if we heard these excuses from somebody else, they'd be a blatantly obvious excuse. But we are very susceptible to our own subconscious. So when we say, I haven't quite got the energy today, or actually, I think it's more important that I do this thing for that client, or this, that, and the other, or just more important, we can totally believe that, but in a way that we wouldn't accept from somebody else. So my biggest piece of advice for you is if you want to achieve great targets and growth in your business this year, finding an outside source of accountability is quite likely to be the biggest single thing that will influence your success for the year. So you might want to have an accountability buddy, and I've had an accountability for a good few years now. It's something that really, really works for me. So you set up a regular call or a WhatsApp group or something along those lines. You're going to share your commitments, and the other person is going to challenge you about your progress. Now, the difficulty sometimes with an accountability buddy like that is if it's not a paid arrangement, it's easy for it to sort of become friends, and you might just find that the level of accountability becomes diluted after a while because the first time that you don't stick to one of your commitments, the other person doesn't necessarily have any authority, shall we say, to really hold you accountable. So if it is gentle accountability, you'll just find that the standard and the impact of that accountability can shrink over time. So accountability buddies can work really well, but you need to be very honest and open with each other about how you like to be held accountable and how firm you would like that other person to be. Of course, one of the best sources of accountability for your business is a business coach like me. So if you need some individual accountability, then get in touch and let's have a chat. But what you also might want to have a look at is something like my accountability squad. This is a really simple, really light touch group. It is not a program. There are no training videos. There's nothing specific for you to watch and learn and keep up with or get behind with on a weekly, monthly basis. It is purely accountability. So on a Monday morning, you get a little nudge to say what is the one thing you need to do to develop your business this week. And then on a Friday, you get a nudge to say, here's what you promised. How have you got on with it? And I am regularly in that group. I actually use that group myself. It's an accountability tool. I would be a fool not to use it. So I put my own commitments in on a Monday morning and I'm checking on what other people have said and just making sure that they've got time in their diary or they know who to contact or they know the first steps for how they can implement that specific action they've talked about. And then on a Friday, I'm checking in with them all as well. And it's only 25 quid a month. So if you would like to know more about that or about my one-to-ones or accountability coaching in general, get in touch with me at tailory.co.uk.